Being a Broadway performer is pretty cool.
And a lot of hard work.
Getting there is even harder.
We're going to tell you all about it.
I'm Adrienne Walker.
And I'm Austin Cook.
Welcome to 32 Bar Cut. Welcome to Broadway Banter on 32 Bar Cut. I am Adrienne Walker.
I'm Austin Cook.
And today we are doing part 2 of Austin answering questions.
Hey.
We are asking Austin 25 questions. So it's 25 questions for a Broadway music director. There is a chance that these questions might extend past 25 simply because other questions arise. If you haven't caught part 1, you can catch it after this. These questions aren't in any particular order. Just click that link up above. It's probably down below too. Up and below. And you can check out part 1 of this mini series that we're doing. We're doing 3 parts of asking Austin Cook 25 questions. Why would you care to hear Austin Cook, this guy right here, answer 25 questions?
I have no idea.
He's not going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. The reason you want to hear his answers to these questions is because he is a phenomenal musician on his own. He's just a phenomenal musician, even if that wasn't his profession. But it just so happens that he is also a Broadway music supervisor, music associate, and conductor. So he knows what you need to know. So stay tuned, listen to the answers, ask more questions down below. We might do this again. Are you ready?
Yeah, it's important because a lot of actors, I know how you do. You talk to your actor friends, a lot of your actor friends, so you get all the inside scoop on what other actors are doing, what they're experiencing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just like this channel, Adrienne's giving you that same thing. But not as much do you hear like what the casting people have to say, what the music directors say behind the table. It's a different perspective. Mm-hmm. So that's all we're trying to do here. This is definitely, as we always say in these videos, I'm not the definitive resource for music direction. I can only speak to my experience, and I've worked on some, cool shows on Broadway. So I know like great music directors, how they operate. I try to be a great music director myself. So hopefully you get some perspective on what we're thinking, how we approach these things, and get some advice from that.
You will most certainly get a really good perspective. Austin is really good at answering these questions. He has not seen the questions yet. And so this is all his point of view today.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for more questions?
I'm ready.
Before we get started, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're digging our content. And let's get into it.
We are trying to get up to 1,000 by September.
We're trying to get up to 1,000 by September. That's the goal that we set for ourselves.
Us, please.
If you're finding this helpful and enjoyable, share it with your friends, your actor friends, your musician friends, and do us a solid.
Help us out. We can't do anything cool on YouTube until we get to 1,000, apparently.
This is true.
They won't let us do questions. We can't do polls for you guys.
We can't drop the store down below. We can't do anything.
We can't do all this cool stuff. So help us get to 1,000, and then we're going to really start having some fun. So
yeah.
Okay.
I wish I had your vocal presence. You really have a good resonance.
Sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I just talk kind of.
No, you've got that.
But other times
baritone.
I speak from my chest.
Say it with your chest. Okay, first question of part 2.
Okay.
And anytime I speak in first person, I'm referring to the global actor, global auditioner perspective.
Yeah.
All right, if they ask for a song from my book, how long should the cut be? Should I do a full song until they stop me? What should I do?
This is a great question. You should ask. First thing you do, you say, you look over, they say, hey, can we hear another song? You say, would you like a cut? Mm-hmm. Or you can say, would you like a 32-bar cut? Lead with a 32-bar cut.
Yeah, would you like a 32-bar cut? Because you don't want to get stuck with a 16,
You don't want to get stuck
right?
with 16. 16 sucks.
Yeah.
So be like, hey, would you like a 32-bar cut or the full song? Because you are already going to be prepared and have both versions. Because we talk about that on this channel. You need to know the full song, not just the cut. So in answer to your question, you should instantly say, would you like to hear a 32-bar or would you like to hear the full song? And then the music director will instantly say, cut.
Yeah.
And then you'll do the cut. So,
and what does that question say about the actor to the people behind the table?
That they're an experienced auditioner.
That they are an experienced auditioner.
That's professional. That's just a very professional thing to do.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So there's your answer. All right, next question. In an audition setting, if they ask me to sing new material on the spot and I'm not a strong sight singer, what should I do?
They won't do that. What can you have a particular example where that's happened?
I've seen it in auditions when I'm a reader. They'll have them do like a little vocalese or something, not to check their range.
Oh, vocalese.
No, but not to check their range. It was for a particular show where there's like a descant moment and they wanted to see if that actor could do that descant. So it was just like they had to learn, I think, 4 bars on the spot. They didn't have to learn a full song, but I have, and it's happened to me too, where they're like, hey, do you know this? And they try to teach you really fast.
Oh, sure. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Well, first off, there's a few things that come to mind. So we'll just go go through all of them.
Okay.
First, a vocalese. That happens sometimes. A vocalese will happen where they like you. Obviously, they like you. That's why they're asking the vocalese. So pressure's off. Relax. Because obviously they're asking to hear a vocalese. They are somewhat interested in what you have to offer. So just chill out. Number 1. When you do the vocalese, again, there's no pressure. The point of that is just to see some range things. And most music directors are looking for where your break sits. So if they know that there's some songs, sometimes music directors know things that you don't know, like whether or not a key is immovable. They might be working with a composer. Sometimes we work with a composer that's rigid in their keys. So it could be that the C sharp belt that the soprano has to do is immovable. They don't want to transpose the orchestra. They don't have alternate keys. They need you to sing a C sharp. They may be looking for a vocalese just to see, her break's there. They put you through it a few times. They see where that break is. If it breaks on a C sharp, they're either going to ask you about it. How do you feel about it? So they're just looking for information. So the pressure's off. It's not a performance. They're just looking for some sort of tangible information about your voice and your range. Hopefully that answers that. Next, when you're dealing with learning like a descant or something, I think I've seen that before, what you're talking about. Yeah. Again, that's for informational purposes. You're not being judged on your ability to learn like quickly necessarily. They just want to hear some information. So again, no pressure. To answer the question more fully, I think that if you're someone who doesn't read music, which is kind of what the question implies, you don't read music or you're not very good at it, that's okay to communicate because, again, unless it's opera or operetta.
And that would never happen. They wouldn't ask you to learn anything.
In musical theater, it's understood that some actors don't have that skill. It's just, I wish it wasn't that way. We tell you to work on it, but it is that way. So every music director understands those people. We are taught how to help and encourage and deal with those type of actors. So it's a normal thing. So don't be self-conscious about it. Just own up to it and be like, I don't read music. Can you teach me the part? I'm pretty good with my ear, or say something you are good at in response to that. I don't read music, but I'm really good with my ear. Can you play it for a second? And I'll, whatever it is.
I don't read music, but like, look at this lip color I chose today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, don't do that.
Does that answer the question?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you basically said this doesn't happen often, but in the chance that it does, this is what's happening. Don't get nervous. Tell them what your parameters are, what your limitations are, and
they won't test you. In other words, it's not a test. That's not something that any good music director would ever do. They're not going to test you in the room to see how fast you learn something.
Yeah.
That is the audition itself. Like if I give you a call back and I say, come back tomorrow with these 2 songs learned, then it's on you. That is a test, sort of. It's like we gave you 2 songs. We expect you to learn it in those, whatever it is, in that night or 2 nights or a week.
Yeah.
That's a test. But in the room, it would be considered bad form for a music director to just throw you a test. That's not something they would do.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that. Next question. I was told that I always need to have a question to ask during my auditions. Just in case they ask, do you have any questions? Is that true or helpful in any way?
Yeah, it's helpful when it's not BS.
Okay.
It's a really good thing because it shows that you're engaged. Like that's the number one reason for doing it is say for instance, it depends on the role too. As always, I feel like I'm always qualifying my answers, but it is true. Say you're going in for a new musical and it's a specific part for this new musical, and the character is alluded to that the character is a mushroom. It's a mushroom character. And the mushroom's like dialogue is all super, let's say sarcastic, or seems like really, really mean. let's say, and you're studying it, you're doing it, but you don't have the whole script. You don't have a lot of materials. You don't really know. So you prepared it in a way, hopefully, where you can do multiple things with it. But let's say you prepared it literally, that the mushroom comes in, sings the song, and it's, I don't like you people stepping on my pants, or whatever it is. And it's like super mean. But then what if in the room, like what if the director has a completely different vision of that? You should have kind of already thought of that, and you should probably lead by starting, they say, do you have any questions about this mushroom? If I were to say, I don't have any questions, they would kind of be like, did you look at it? Like, this is a very weird thing we're asking this character to be, and you just magically know it without a script. That would kind of show that you're a little, maybe, I don't want to say apathetic, but you're a little bit like, whatever. Like, there's no way that you know everything about this character, like what they're looking for. So even if you don't say, I do have a question, I would like to know, is the mushroom being sarcastic? Is the mushroom really angry in this scene? Or is the mushroom trying to, who is the mushroom speaking to? Something like that will help you unlock this audition a little bit is really important, because it also, again, makes you look professional, because you obviously are asking the questions that a qualified actor would be asking, but they don't necessarily have the keys to unlock because they don't have the whole script, or there's something confusing about it. That said, if you're auditioning for a role that exists already, all the material's out there, you're auditioning for something like that's easy or that everybody knows, accessible, then if you don't have a question, that's okay. You don't have a question, that's fine. But I hope it helps with like originating roles or something like that. Ask the question, because we're here to help. You can also go ask a musical question. It's like, would you like to hear this belted, or would you like to hear this legit, or would you like to hear a mix, or would you like to hear this chest voice? Sometimes that's helpful too, because the music director can be like, oh no, it's a chest belt. It's not a mix.
That's a really thorough answer. So it sounds like if you're gonna have a question, if you're walking into it, you should have a question, but only if your question is not BS. And
right, don't ask the question because it's going to get you points or something, because that's not true. The only reason that it would get you points is if it's a legitimate question.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. But don't just be like, yeah, I was wondering, like, it seems like the mushroom is from the woods and is singing to the tree, and is that sound right? And they're going to be like, what? But if you ask an actual, like, something an actor would actually say is like, is the mushroom speaking to the tree in the scene? I believe it is, but I just wanted to be clear on, is it just to the tree, or is she speaking to humanity? And then they can say, oh no, it's to the tree. And then you're like, oh, great. So then when you do the audition, you're to the tree with your eyes doing the song, and then you're going to lock in for the director because they're actually relating to your audition more. Whereas if you were taking into the whole world, they'd be like, what is happening with her eyes? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, you need a focal point there.
Yeah,
I like that. That's very helpful. Actually, that leads me to a follow-up question with focus and direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, say I'm in an audition, and I have a reader, and I have the table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So who do I focus my audition on? I know that when I'm doing the scene, I focus on the reader. But then when I'm doing my song, do I use the table? Like, who should I focus on? And I know directors are different.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when I say the questions off the cuff and I don't have them written down.
No, it's okay. It's a great question, and it's something all actors are constantly asking themselves, especially like new actors that are like, I don't know what to do in the room.
Yeah.
It's a great question, and it, again, depends. I will qualify. It depends on what audition you're doing. If you're auditioning for a role that is very like the lead role, also super like charismatic, I'm going to say Sweeney Todd. If I'm auditioning for the role of Sweeney Todd and I'm going to sing soliloquy, that I can look everybody in the face, make them uncomfortable, sing about the vengeance that I'm going to have and these people that I'm going to mess with, and do my audition. And that uneasiness and also command, like clearly in that way, you're commanding this room in this audition. It's kind of perfect for the role. So you'd want that. If you're auditioning for the ensemble of Billy Elliot as a dancer and you're singing your song Electricity or whatever it is, and you're looking at the casting the casting and director in the eyes when you're singing it, that's weird. That doesn't make sense because normally that song would be just sung to the audience or like the house or, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully this makes sense. You have to know the role you're auditioning for and make the choice off of that. Don't just use the casting team and the directors. You should almost never do that. There's only, again, like these specific instances when it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
Also, be specific with your eyes, though. So you're not going to look at them and the table necessarily.
Yeah.
But you still want to have specificity. It's something that I know you're always talking about in film auditions, too. You have specificity with where you're looking and where the scene is. You can't just be like pretending, I think somebody's over there. You need to see the room as it exists in the play in your eyes. So if you're singing as Zoe to Evan and Dear Evan Hansen, you place him. And if it's not the reader, then you put them behind the casting table and you sing to him or her or whatever it is.
And they don't move.
They don't move. They're not floating around. It's not the same.
You can move. Like, I feel like just how we talk, I'm not going to speak to you like this, you know, but just how we talk, we look down, we move around, we go back to who we're talking to. You're saying you can do this.
Yeah, you would only move that character as if they move in the scene. So if I'm singing as Zoe to Evan,
he starts
and I'm
walking
singing
away
and I sing verse 1 and I'm like, I love you, and then like in the holes he's like walking away and I'm like, I stop.
But did you see that? Austin watched him walk away.
Yeah, you have to watch them walk.
The action.
Oh,
I
can't
like
just
that.
be back and forth, darty eyes and all that.
Yeah.
You've got to specifically see the scene in your mind.
And this is helpful too. This specificity that you're talking about is really helpful for any kind of self-tape submissions that you'll do. It's actually even more important than being in the room because the camera picks up so much. But this isn't my session. This is Austin's session.
That's right.
Let's go to the next question.
Yeah.
This is a popular question. I pulled this from you guys. From you all. How many songs should I have in my audition book?
That's tough. So let's go through. So let's say we have Jazz Age, we have Golden Age, we have Post-Golden Age, which is a lot of stuff. You have Modern Musical Theater, which is the Little Shops and Alan Menken. You maybe have Disney. Some people have like that genre. You maybe, if it's your thing, you have like operetta and you have legit like the Les Mises, the Miss Saigons, and that kind of world. And then you have pop rock, hip hop, whatever.
Radio tunes.
So let's say there's like, if you're on the small book, you have 4 categories. Let's say you have like a good substantial book. You have 8 categories of songs in your book. Okay, this is not exhaustive. What I just said is off the top of my head. So let's say I have 8 categories. In each category, you need up-tempo representation. You need ballads in each category. You need that kind of diversity as well. So say you had 2 ballads and 1 up-tempo in every category, or 2 up-tempos and 1 ballad. So say you had 3 in every category. 3 times 8 is 24. You've got 24 to 25 songs in your book. If you have a small book, maybe you only have 12 songs, and some of those double. Instead of jazz and Golden Age, you kind of just have 1 song and you make it work. So when they ask for Golden Age, you're like, how about this? You know, how about this Gershwin song? And they're like, oh, okay, Gershwin works for Golden Age. It's not, you know. So you know what I'm saying by that? Sometimes you can squeeze in, or like say you want to do Raven from Brooklyn, instead of they want a gospel song. And you're like, well, this is kind of gospel soul.
It's got some gospel chords in it.
Right, but it's still musical theater. And they're like, okay, just do that. So you can make it work. So I would say anywhere from, 14 to 25.
And that's one of the larger numbers I've heard. I've heard as low as 5 to 7, and now you're saying 25. But I really think that's a really nice, fleshed out book where if they ask you for anything, you've got it. But the other flip side to that is that they all need to be performance ready.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring it in the room, it better be performance ready, because sometimes these directors are handsy. They get in there and they're like, what do you got? They start fishing.
I'm giving you the most professional answer.
Yeah.
Because I want you to succeed. Basically, you need to prepare your auditions as if it's a cabaret show. So what I gave you is 25 songs. That's a full cabaret production of your own show, which you should do, by the way. Book out Davenport's if you're in Chicago. Book out some
Studio Below, 54 Below.
Yeah. Book out some club. Book your own night and do a cabaret of your book. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just giving you ideas, like for fun. your book should be that good. It should be like, I am so comfortable with these songs. This is my show.
Yeah, I love
and you're
that.
just pulling from your show in your book. That's what a book is supposed to be, my friends. It's not supposed to be a collection of like, I kind of know this song, auditions. Too many people do that. They're like, I'm going to learn this for an audition tomorrow. That's dumb. Like, why would you do that? You're not going to look your best. You're not going to be great. Just because you think you sing that one C sharp grade doesn't mean you're acting the story and knowing the notes and knowing the dynamics.
I'm going to stop you because I feel like this answer is so thorough that maybe it needs its own video.
Well, I can do my own video on that subject.
Yes. Okay, so Austin is going to answer more audition book questions in the future. Okay, next question.
Yes.
This is an easy one.
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't know. Should I use sheet protectors on my music? A follow-up to the audition book question.
You can. It's acceptable. I've read in some music directors will say, you must do it. Just like I'm sitting here giving advice, their advice is you have to. And I understand where that comes from. It comes from messy books when we turn a page and then it falls out. The page falls on the ground and it's a disaster. Or there's coffee stains and all this stuff on it. That's where that comes from. Rather than say, because of your lack of organization, I'm going to tell you to use these things. I would say be organized and make sure you have clean, fresh copies of your book, that you don't have stains on your book and all of that, and make it not reflective. Because even the anti-glare thing, sometimes there is a reflection. Mm-hmm. And most in New York, and I'm assuming in other cities, that a lot of times there's these huge windows in the audition room, like floor to ceiling. So when the piano reflects it, it's just like hard to see in the daytime.
Yeah.
So don't, just give them a piece of paper that doesn't reflect.
Thank you, honey. That is a really good answer. Okay, next question.
I'm ready.
What's the best way to communicate vocal fatigue or illness in an audition or rehearsal setting?
You can't.
I knew you were going to say that.
You cannot. You just can't.
So what about if you walk in with this bottle from our shop that says, I'm on vocal rest?
No, even better, like a hospital bracelet. If you want to put a hospital bracelet on, that would be a good one.
That's a good one.
Don't acknowledge it. Don't acknowledge it. Just have the hospital bracelet on.
Just come in with an IV rack and say.
Maybe not in the age of COVID. Don't do that. Okay. Okay, so I gave an answer.
Okay,
I gave an answer, but let me explain. Mm-hmm. You have to do it secretly, and I mean really secretly. If you're going to communicate that you're sick, it has to be like your agent has to do it or something like that. Your agent on your behalf has to be like, hey, they're not doing well, but because they really want to see you for this audition, their voice is struggling, but they want to be here, so they're coming in with this. I've had that happen, and I think that's great. Yeah. Because then it is good to know as the team that they're not at their best. So I know why you do it, but when you come in and do it every time, it will look like an excuse. Yeah. Every time you bring it up. Every time. No exceptions. Do not ever walk into the room, ever, and say, my voice, I'm sorry, I've been dealing with this thing, or I've been sick, or I had 8 shows this week, or what, you fill in the blank. Don't ever do it. Yeah. We do not care. We have zero sympathy when it comes to that. Let them ask you after you sing or after you speak, because I went in for an audition. It's on our video top 5 worst auditions. But I went in and I had lost my voice, but I still went into this audition and I didn't tell my agent I was losing my voice. I was just like, whatever, I'm going to do this. And after I sang it a couple times and did 3 scenes out of the 200 they gave me 5, but the director said, are you struggling? And I was like, yeah, I am. Can I leave now? Anyway, but let them ask you. It sounds like what you're saying, or let your agent do it for you, because I have been in auditions where the agent has already let casting know that the actor is sick or that they had tech week or something like that. And so they're just a little taxed. And then when they walk in, the casting director is telling the director, hey, such and such is, they're a little fatigued. The actor comes in, they sing beautifully. Everyone's impressed because they've just been told that they're sick, but they still sang the material. So that works in your favor. Okay, this is the last question for part 2. Hey. And then you'll have to tune in next time for part 3 because we have a few more questions to ask Austin. Hey. Last
question. How do I make a good first impression on the first day of rehearsal?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things you can do. I do these same things. I think we all do. We all do these things that I'll say. Number one, you got to be prepared, right? So you've done the preparation. That's going to show on your first day.
And we talked about that too.
We've talked about
There's
this.
a video of us talking about rehearsals.
Yeah, we talked about this. So you're going to be prepared. You're going to be on time. So don't be, first impressions matter a lot. If your first day you're late and coming in with excuses, that's bad. You're going to have a tough hill to climb because you've already been put in that category. So
the late one.
So you got to be on time. You got to have prepared a little bit, and be courteous and a good cast member, and excited to see everybody, and and meet people, and be a good person.
And meet people. It's not just the cast, right? You're going to be meeting all kinds of people. You want to remember their names and
and also don't just do your job, I guess is another way to say it. Like, don't be someone who's like in the music director's like trying to get in with them or something. Sometimes that can be annoying. I guess what I mean is if you're trying to be too needy, or like asking 100 questions about the score on day one, and like, you know what I mean? It can be too much. The first day is a lot of just meeting people and kind of letting the team express what's going to happen in the process. So don't come with all of your questions to the music director and everybody on day one. There's just too much going on, and it might seem a little like, okay, so you might need to be babysat, like you need a lot of help. It can come across that way. So you don't want to do that either. You just want to kind of show up, be professional, do your thing, and be good to go.
That makes a lot of sense, because first impressions, as we know, as human beings walking around the earth, are a big deal. And a lot of times we remember people by the first time that we met them and our first impression of them. So up until this point, if you've made it to the first rehearsal, you've probably only met the director, the music director, maybe a couple producers. And so this is your chance to meet everyone and also reintroduce yourself to the people who already saw you in the audition. They loved you, they cast you, but now they're seeing you again. So it's still kind of like a first impression.
I was thinking of some bonus content.
Yeah.
That this reminds me of, because it is so important. And remember that it doesn't matter how famous you are or how big you are, that you still have first impressions with people that have never met you before.
Yeah.
So that reminds me, there's a very famous Broadway composer who you all know, who shall remain nameless, who is a big deal and everybody loves and raves about and talks about. He's a composer. And I met this person for the first time, and I was very excited about it. And I was doing, and I met this person, and they were very not nice and very rude, and like, why are you wasting my time talking to me, kind of vibe. And I was like, and that has soured me on this person ever since, for years now. So like, and that's all it was. And it could, maybe they were having a bad day. I don't know, but that's all I think about.
Yeah,
that's all I think about every time. And I'm like, I don't really want to work with that person for this one. It's very important, my friends. So in other words, don't show up on the first day of rehearsal and be in your clique and just stick with your people. And you gotta, it's a chance to really be yourself, be kind, be generous artist to everybody.
Yeah, I think actually that brings me to a point of someone sent us a message on Instagram, and they were doing a summer program, and it was their second year back, and they just had all these terrible feelings of the first year when they went. They went to this program. It was very cliquish. Everybody knew everybody, and they just were trying to connect with their cast and really enjoy the summer stock program. And so this year, when they went again, they were hopeful that it would be different. But again, they were experiencing the same thing. Everyone was cliquish. So for our community, I want to encourage everyone, when you start a new process, learn the new people too. Include everybody, because cliques hurt. Cliques hurt people's feelings. Cliques are fun for the people in them, but they're not fun for anyone else.
That's right.
So music theater people can be quite cliquey, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for watching our episode and listening to Austin answer my questions. Hopefully you have questions that we can answer and put into another episode. And I was going to say something else. Oh, thank you to you for answering all these questions on the spot.
You're welcome.
If you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you are in vocal rest and you don't have an agent, You can go to our shop and buy this bottle. Maybe bring it into your audition and someone will ask you about it.
I like that. I like that. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. 1,000. We're almost there. Help us out.
1,000. All right, y'all. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.